Knicks about to make a major hire in the coaching staff. I feel like Pablo. Hit that rock. Before we get started, make sure to hit the like, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit the dark notification bell to get each and every notification for each and every video I put out there. It's your boy Gino Legion Knicks. Let's get it. So on Tuesday, the New York Knicks received permission from the Minnesota Timberwolves to interview former Knick fan favorite, oldest rookie in the NBA, 35 years old when he came to the Knicks, Pablo Prigioni. Now, Pablo Prigioni is one of my favorite players. I don't care what no one says. This guy, oldest rookie at that time, I think 35 years old when he came into the NBA 2012, 2013. And this is a guy who already had a well-established career out overseas. We're talking about a guy who, in his career, just saying some of the accolades was ridiculous. 2 times EuroLeague second team back in 2006, 2007. Spanish League champion 2008. 3-time Spanish Cup winner in 2004, 6, and 9. 4-time Spanish Cup winner 2005, 2008. 3-time All-Spanish League team 2006, 2007, 2009, Spanish Cup MVP 2006, Spanish Super Cup MVP 2008, Spanish Second Division Cup winner 2002, and retired by Baskonia. Now, again, when he came over to the New York Knicks, oldest rookie in the league, 35 years old, he was just coming as like a reserve guy. We had guys like Jason Kidd and already, not ball hogs, but the ball was going to go to Melo, J.R. Smith. And so the offense is going to operate through them. But Pablo Prigioni, again, being one of the smartest players I watch on that floor night and night out. And he didn't get crazy minutes with the Knicks, especially in that first year. But he had just vital plays, smart plays, fouling guys at the right time, calling for the screens at the right time, sending that pick and roll with him and Chandler, hitting threes, catching defenders off their little missteps, just perfect timing to hit those shots. He wasn't the fastest, wasn't the quickest, just a smart, heady play. And I always said in my mind, I was like, yo, this guy's going to become a coach one day. He's too smart. And granted, when he first came to the NBA, he was, basically before that, he was like, I don't want to just come and just be sitting on the bench not doing anything. Like, I just, I want to play. If not, I could just stay back over here. I've had a career. It's true. He had nothing to really prove in the NBA. But we're talking about a guy who, again, played for the Knicks. He went on to go and play for the Houston Rockets and in his career with the Clippers. But Pablo Prigioni, again, one of my favorite players, one of the smarter players that I've seen on the Knicks. This is a guy that now has just been biding his time as an assistant coach. Started out with the Brooklyn Nets back in 2018-19 as an assistant coach, went over to Minnesota Timberwolves, and then became the associate head coach, offensive coordinator, and was there when A.J. Finch joined, I think, back in 2021. Now, Pablo Prigioni with the Minnesota Timberwolves has been tasked as like the so-called offensive coordinator, where his so-called philosophy is to build a pace and three-point shots. Now, when you look at the Wolves for years, that's a team that's been, you could say they've been struggling just overall offensively, right? And you look at what they've been shooting over years in terms of threes, you got to give Pablo Prigioni his credit. Now, year before last, I think they were like 15 in threes made and 23rd in threes taken. Last year, they were like 4th and 5th or something like that. And I think 3rd in percentage in terms of three-pointers made, taken, and then percentage. So Pablo Prigioni, you're seeing his impact on that Wolves team. You saw some superlative performances, at least on the offensive end. Guys like Nickeil Alexander-Walker, obviously Anthony Edwards. Guys like Naz Reid, and this is a guy has been also so-called tasked from his own saying or his own mouth saying that he's a guy that stays over to watch film. He's working with guys. You saw him working with guys like Rob Dillingham, and that type of assistant coach. Now, obviously, New York Knicks, Tom Thibodeau didn't truly have those type of guys. When we're talking about a guy who could come here and set a so-called philosophy, come here and establish an identity, definitely help with the Knicks, because the Knicks' three-point shooting is definitely taking a dip last year. If you can help instill those principles in this offense, especially one where I'm assuming is going to be what we had, or what Mike Brown had with the Kings. So my motion offense is a lot of off-ball movement, getting guys open shots. He's going to be very vital in helping us take that step offensively. Another thing too, I think that having a former point guard who kind of, I don't want to say he's a whisperer, but connect with Brunson. Say what you want, but many times it's really hard to try to take away a cheat away from the stripes, especially when the Safari allowed him, they built him up, right? That's a terrible analogy. What I'm trying to say is that taking away Tom Thibodeau away from Jalen Brunson, who gave him basically carte blanche, run that read and react. You are the operator of the offense. It goes through you. Taking the ball out of his hands is going to take some type of transition, right? It's also going to take a lot of trust. Mike Brown, not saying that, he's not a good coach or whatnot, but again, he's the head coach. You're going to need that quarterback, that point guard whisperer to come in and say, hey, see it this way. And a guy like Pablo, you saw when he was with the Knicks, he was able to connect with guys like Melo, as proud as, and some people say egotistical, as Melo could be, J.R. Smith. You saw those guys resonating, talking with Pablo Prigioni, right? And so that type of voice in this locker room, especially as this Knicks offense takes a transition away from the point guard, ball-dominant offense of Tom Thibodeau to the spread 'em, kind of move the ball around, motion offense, split action, Princeton concepts, offense of Mike Brown, that whisperer is going to be extremely vital. So I love this move for the Knicks. Now, granted, the Knicks have been striking out with a whole bunch of so-called assistant coaches that they've been trying to go after. Guys like James Borrego, guys like freaking Terry Stotts, who just reportedly he's not going to move away from the Golden State Warriors, or is basically a no-go with him. And some of the other assistant coaches they've been trying to look at. The Knicks have just been striking out, right? So, and look, say what you want. I know it's the summer, it's the end of July. This coaching staff needs to start forming. There are players right now, they're young players right now who are looking for some type of instruction, they're looking for some type of leadership from the coaching staff, some type of direction even now. So to have those guys in as quick as possible, I don't know if Pablo's going to be working with guys in the summer. It is what it is. I don't know, but that would definitely help to set us straight in terms of the vision, in terms of the philosophy, what we want to run this year. Help enforce that. Having that coaching staff there is going to be uber important. So if the Knicks can poach away a guy like Pablo Prigioni, that is a major freaking steal. Like I said, one of the smartest freaking players in the league. My son, Pablo Prigi mother effing Oni. Why am I so hyped for a damn assistant coach? But that's my son, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is Pablo Prigioni the guy that should be who the Knicks should be going after? Does he elevate our offense like he did or helped to do last year with the Timberwolves? How do you like him with the young players? Guys like Pacome, who the Knicks are still very high on. Guys like Tyler Kolek, who can also take another step forward in terms of his offense, right? Not being the quickest, not being the fastest, developing, learning under a guy like Pablo Prigioni, just picking his brain, understanding how to play the space within the space, how to call or when to call the screens, how to utilize screens, how to tack off the missteps by a defender or the lack of a step or the slower step by defenders, closeouts or whatnot. Guy like Kolek, who the Knicks gave the highest amount in terms of guaranteed money to a second rounder, could definitely use that development from Pablo Prigioni. How does Pablo Prigioni affect a guy like him? Even a guy like Miles McBride. How do you guys feel about Pablo Prigioni with Jalen Brunson? The guy who said, yo, I gave y'all about to demote my father and I gave y'all a sweetheart deal and y'all fired the coach who made me who I am today? You gonna bring this guy over to enforce taking the ball out of my hands? Or is it like, you know what? Yeah, Pablo, I get it. How do you guys feel about Pablo Prigioni working with Jalen Brunson? Does that enforce or does that bolster up the two-man game between him and Karl-Anthony Towns? Something that the Knicks were very strong at the beginning of the season, which faded going into the second half. Does he enforce that two-man game between these two strong offensive talents? Let me know your thoughts on my son, Pablo Prigioni. I feel like Pablo. It's your boy Gmo, DJ Knicks. I appreciate you. Hit them likes, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to leave a comment as the video ends. Peace, God bless. I'll catch you guys on the next one.